Most gardeners spend real money fixing a problem they created with free fertilizer growing right under their feet. The mistake is pulling nutrient-rich weeds, tossing them in the bin, then buying expensive fertilizer to replace what those weeds were already mining out of the soil for free. That habit strips nutrients, wastes biomass, and slowly turns productive beds into hungry soil that needs constant feeding. If your plants look pale, stall out in midsummer, or fruit weak even though you're feeding regularly, this is usually part of the problem. And before you dump anything into your beds, test what's actually happening down there. I use a Yamron 4-in-1 soil moisture meter because it catches one of the most common mistakes gardeners make with homemade fertilizers: feeding plants when the root zone is already stressed from bad moisture or pH. A lot of nutrient problems are not nutrient problems at all, they're uptake problems. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. It saves a lot of guesswork, especially when a bed looks deficient, but the real issue is the roots can't access what's already there. The weed trick most gardeners ignore is simple, and it works because weeds are not just pests, they're nutrient pumps. Deep-rooted weeds pull minerals from layers your vegetables can't reach, then store them in soft green tissue. That tissue is loaded with nitrogen, potassium, trace minerals, enzymes, and microbial food. When you use the right weeds the right way, you're not making some trendy garden tea, you're cycling nutrients back into the exact soil they came from, but in a form your crops can actually use. This matters more than most people realize because bagged fertilizer feeds plants. Weed fertilizer feeds the whole system. That includes microbes, fungi, soil structure, moisture retention, and long-term nutrient cycling. One gives you a quick green up, the other builds a bed that gets easier to grow in every season. Serious gardeners should care about that difference because short-term growth and long-term fertility are not the same thing. The first thing to understand is that not all weeds are useful, and this is where a lot of bad advice starts. You do not throw every weed into a bucket and hope for the best. Some weeds are excellent mineral accumulators. Some are basically water. Some are loaded with seeds and will make your problem worse. The best weeds for this are broadleaf, fast-growing, non-woody plants before they set seed. Comfrey is the gold standard if you have it, but most gardeners don't. Dandelion, lambsquarters, chickweed, purslane, nettle, and young pigweed all work well. These plants are soft, nutrient-dense, and break down fast. What you do not want is mature grasses, seed heads, woody stems, or invasive vines unless you're hot composting them hard. Bermuda grass runners in a cold soak are not fertilizer. They're a future headache. Bindweed in a weak compost pile is how people accidentally spread bindweed to every bed they own. This method works, but only if you stop treating all plant material like it behaves the same. Here's the simplest version, and it works in raised beds, in-ground rows, and even containers. Harvest fresh green weeds before flowering. Chop them down small. Fill a 5-gallon bucket about 2/3 full, then top with water. Rainwater is best, but tap water works if that's what you've got. Put a loose lid on it and let it steep for 7 to 14 days. Stir it every day if you can. If you forget, it still works. What you're making is a crude fermented plant extract. And yes, it smells terrible. That smell is normal. The smell means breakdown is happening. By day 7, the water is dark, the plant tissue is collapsing, and, well, the nutrients are moving into solution. That liquid is concentrated. Do not pour it straight onto roots unless you enjoy testing how much stress your plants can tolerate. For heavy feeders like tomatoes, squash, cucumbers, and corn, you'll want to dilute it at roughly 1 part wheat tea to 10 parts water. For greens, herbs, seedlings, and containers, go weaker at 1 to 15. In hydroponics, do not dump raw wheat tea into your reservoir. That is how you turn a clean system into a microbial swamp. I'll explain the safer way for hydro growers in a minute because, honestly, this is where most people ruin their water. Used properly, this stuff works fast. You'll usually see a response in 48 to 72 hours on hungry plants. Leaves deepen in color, growth picks up, and plants stop looking like they're running on fumes. That response is strongest in beds, where biology is active, but the nutrient cycle is lagging, especially after heavy rain, aggressive harvests, or fast summer growth. The part most gardeners miss is that the leftover sludge in the bottom of the bucket is just as valuable as the liquid. Don't dump it. Bury it shallow around heavy feeders, about 3 to 4 inches down and at least a hand width off the stem. That gives microbes a concentrated food source right where feeder roots will grow toward it. In raised beds, I bury this between tomato plants and along squash edges. In containers, use less and keep it near the outer edge so it breaks down without heating the root crown. Now here's where this gets much more useful than store-bought fertilizer. Different weeds give different nutrient profiles. Dandelion and chickweed are good all-purpose mineral sources. Nettles lean nitrogen-heavy and are excellent early in the season when plants need vegetative growth. Purslane brings minerals and breaks down fast. Lamb's quarters is surprisingly useful for general biomass and nutrient cycling. This is not about chasing lab-perfect numbers. It's about matching growth stage to what the plant actually needs. Early season, use nitrogen-heavy green weeds to build stems and leaves. Once plants start flowering, ease off the stronger nitrogen brews and shift toward lighter applications, or combine weed tea with wood ash in tiny amounts around fruiting crops if potassium is clearly lagging. Not much. A tablespoon around a mature tomato is plenty. More than that, and you start creating pH problems people mistake for deficiencies. And this is exactly why testing matters. If your soil is too wet, roots stop breathing. If pH drifts out of range, nutrients get locked up. Then gardeners throw more fertilizer at the plant and wonder why it gets worse. This is where that soil meter earns its place. If the bed is soaked, your issue is oxygen, not nitrogen. If pH is drifting too far, adding more feed won't solve uptake. Good growers stop guessing and start measuring. For hydroponic growers, the rule is simple. Do not use raw weed tea in the main reservoir. Use it outside the system. Feed soil-grown support plants with it, build compost with it, or run it through a separate mineralization process if you know what you're doing. Raw organic extracts in hydrocrate biofilm, unstable oxygen, clogged lines, and root disease. That's not theory, that's what actually happens. Hydro rewards control, soil rewards biology. Don't confuse the two. The bigger lesson here is that weeds are telling you something before they ever become fertilizer. If certain weeds keep showing up in the same spot, pay attention. Deep taproots often show compaction. Moisture-loving weeds usually point to drainage issues. Fast nitrogen lovers often show excess fertility or disturbance. Weeds are not random. They're indicators first, fertilizer second. If you learn to read them, they'll tell you what your soil is doing long before your vegetables start complaining. That's the real shift serious gardeners make. You stop seeing weeds as waste. You start seeing them as data, biomass, and nutrient storage. That one change saves money, reduces inputs, improves soil structure, and builds better crops over time. Not because it's trendy, because it matches how nutrient cycling actually works in productive soil. If you want better harvests, stop feeding plants like they're isolated machines. Feed the system they grow in. Understand what the soil is doing, what the roots can access, and what the weeds are already trying to tell you. That's where the real gains come from. Subscribe to Farm Logic if you care about practical growing that actually improves yields, and share this with a gardener who's still throwing free fertilizer in the trash.